19, 5, and 8 assists.
This dramatic drop in viewership is a wake-up call for the WNBA, which has suffered from low attendance and ratings for years. However, Caitlin Clark's breakthrough season appeared to give the league hope as her games routinely drew record attendance, and for a brief period, it seemed like the WNBA had finally turned a corner. However, now that Clark is no longer with the league, it is evident that the league's newfound popularity was not as stable as it appeared without Caitlin Clark in the playoffs. The WNBA has struggled to maintain the level of excitement. When Clark was gone, ardent followers who had been following her every move had little incentive to stay. The general buzz around the playoffs has significantly decreased as a result of the surviving team's lack of the star power and charisma that Clark brought to the court, even though they are still competitive.
There was a Jordan effect on the NBA and the game of basketball. I would argue at one point, early on, there was a Steph Curry effect on the NBA and on basketball also. You bet your ass there is a Caitlin Clark effect on all of basketball, and especially on women's basketball.
One of the most concerning things about Caitlin Clark's playoff exit was how it occurred throughout the season. Despite the WNBA's admiration for Clark's skills, the league failed to provide her with the protection a player of her caliber deserves, and Clark was frequently fouled and subjected to physical play that went mostly unpunished. This wasn't just a few missed calls, rather, it was a pattern of rough play that eventually affected Clark's body and caused her team to lose.
So we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world. Something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking.
Fans watching at home couldn't help but feel irritated as Clark was knocked around the court with little assistance from the officials during the series against the Connecticut Sun. For example, Clark was fouled hard several times during the series, but the referees seemed hesitant to call the foul. It seemed as though the league didn't fully understand how important it was to protect its star player. The WNBA has long struggled with officiating, especially when it comes to physical play, but when the player at the heart of your league's comeback is being treated this way, it becomes a much bigger problem. The WNBA cannot afford to let its biggest star be beaten down like this, especially when she is so important to the league's success. This failure to protect Clark is not just a one-off mistake, it's part of a larger problem within the WNBA.
Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening, and that I think is what's been such a shock for all of us.
Not only was Caitlin Clark's breakthrough season a personal victory, but it was also a huge chance for the WNBA to show off its potential to a larger audience. Her games were attracting fans from across the nation, many of whom had never attended a WNBA game before. This was an opportunity for the league to take advantage of the excitement surrounding Clark and create a loyal following, but the WNBA wasted that chance by not protecting her. Fans are aware of what happened, they witnessed how Clark was treated on the court, and many of them have expressed their frustration. Fans who believe that the WNBA let Clark down by permitting her to be fouled repeatedly without adequate officiating have begun posting comments on social media.
There are very, very few people, but there are some out there who resent the fact that this young white girl came out there and did her thing. Rookie of the Year, 4th in the league for MVP voting, assist leader, one of the top leading scorers after the Olympic Games. She put on a show, validating all the attention she was receiving.
Due to this, there is a growing belief that the league is not doing enough to safeguard its stars, which may have long-term effects on fan loyalty. The WNBA is currently in a vulnerable situation. Caitlin Clark has already contributed more to the league in a single season than many players do in a whole career, but the league runs the risk of losing the very players who are advancing the sport if it does nothing to safeguard her and other players like her. This is about the league's future, not just about winning games.
Number of viewers for WNBA games that Caitlin Clark is not in is like 3 to 4 million. When she's in the game, when it's her game playing, it's like 17 million.
Yeah. Well, I also look at the attendance in the arena.
Yes.
8 to 10,000 everywhere else. Peyton Clark, 17, 18,000.
As if fans weren't enough angry by Caitlin Clark's elimination from the playoffs, despite her record-breaking season and her indisputable impact on the development of the WNBA, another controversy quickly followed. Given the influence Clark had on the court and in terms of viewing, it was unexpected that she did not receive unanimous Rookie of the Year recognition. Despite Clark's outstanding efforts throughout the season, one voter chose to vote for a different player instead. Reese Angel.
No matter if you are rooting against Caitlin Clark because you like another team, there's very few of them.
I'm excited
even
to
if it's
see,
that.
I'm excited to see who it is.
Many fans were incensed by this choice. How could anyone vote for anyone else but Caitlin Clark, who had single-handedly raised the WNBA's prominence and served as the catalyst for the league's surge in popularity? To make matters worse, it felt like a slap in the face to Clark and her supporters that she didn't win unanimous Rookie of the Year. The WNBA has chosen to keep the identity of the single voter who voted for Reese over Clark anonymous. Fans' displeasure has only increased as a result of this lack of openness, as many believe that Clark is not receiving the credit she merits from the league.
That second half really set the tone for me, for her to be, and should have been, the unanimous Rookie of the Year.
And it wasn't just one triple-double, she had 2 on the season.
And this is why we would love for the WNBA to make voting not anonymous. Because if you were the person that had
Stand
that
on
one
it.
vote, you should just be able to stand on it, and we
Stand
should
on it.
know who.
More than just a one-time incident, Caitlin Clark's exclusion from the unanimous Rookie of the Year award might have a long-term impact on how WNBA fans view the league. Many fans believe that the WNBA is not fully appreciating what Clark has done for the league, and the decision to give one vote to Angel Ree instead of Clark has sparked a debate about the voting process's integrity. Clark had done everything in her power to improve the league, but when it came time to recognize her accomplishments, she was denied the unanimous recognition she deserved.